Welcome to the MYBcast, a podcast devoted to exploring alternatives for self-care through somatic touch therapies of all sorts. We are fascinated with the mind-body connection, and so are the people we talk with. Today, we are continuing our series Seeds. Seeds is a podcast about a set of somatic touch principles that we call somatic mindfulness. When we integrate these principles in our work, what are we experiencing? What happens for different therapists who embody these principles? What changes in their practices and in their lives? In Seeds, we talk with members of our growing somatic mindfulness community. How are they adapting attuned touch to their work? And how are their clients responding? Seeds is for anyone interested in somatic mindfulness and what it can do for them. What's so beautiful about somatic mindfulness is that it recognizes the student in all of us, exploring, studying, and developing this work that we love. The journey is a rich one that allows us to develop ourselves by simply being with our clients. I'm Madalena Ferrara. I'm here with my co-host Richard Mack. We are both masters of somatic movement therapy and education, as well as teachers of somatic mindfulness. We're co-founders of MYB, a successful somatic therapy clinic in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. Today, we are excited to talk with our guest, Kim Dietz, and learn about what somatic mindfulness means to her and how it's impacting her work and her life.
Thank you, Madalena, for that introduction. And Kim, welcome to the show. It's so nice to see you again. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. It's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Kim, we start every episode with the same basic question. We are really interested to hear how different therapists talk about what somatic mindfulness means to them. So, based on the experiences that you've had and how you've integrated the work, how would you describe somatic mindfulness?
Good question. So I've been practicing the somatic mindfulness now for a year, in July, and it's still something that I am trying to find a great elevator pitch for it because even though it sounds so simple that it should be easy to explain, I sometimes have difficulties explaining really what it is, but um, for my practice, it's just a way for people to connect deeper with themselves. Um, I've always really felt that there's a mind-body connection, and it's really honing in on that for the client, I think.
Hmm. Have you did you notice anything different in your professional work after you took the first class that you took, after you took that material home and played with maybe I don't know how many sessions you've been in, but maybe after the next one something else changed or something got deeper for you. How's the progression been for you?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So I'm definitely falling down that rabbit hole. So I started my practice in 2017, and I come from healthcare. And we all have our own things that we've been through in life and whatever. And in my first class with Fernando, I was having difficulty with him asking me to, like really like look inside yourself and think of, different things and because I was going through my own stuff, and there was a point in class we had a break, and I remember going up to him and I said, I can't do this. I can't do what you're asking. I don't, this when we're supposed to be feeling a certain way, I'm not feeling that because of all the things that I'm already going through. And I was finding it very difficult. And he said to me, you don't have to worry about that. Just be present. Just it's okay that you're feeling these things. And I don't know, it was like a light bulb had gone on because I was at a point in my practice where I was burnt out, and it's hard to care for people without having these feelings of resentment and this emptiness, because when life gets heavy for yourself, like what do we do with that as therapists? As we get caregiver burnout, and that was the first time I was given permission to like really own my own stuff, and it's okay that I'm having a bad day, um and to sit with that. Like that was that was the first time I was given permission to like be okay not being okay. So for my practice, I've always felt that our bodies have the ability to heal. We just have to provide it the right environment. And that's always been my goal, is working with the nervous system, not trying to force my way through a muscle or, expect a certain outcome, even though we do expect to, like, in a way, fix people. But this is different. It takes the responsibility off of me, which is nice. I just have to provide the environment. I just have to be present, and stay curious and know that each session is its own session. It doesn't matter what happened last session because I can't control what they do when they leave my office. I can't make them drink the water. I can't make them do stretches. I can't make them stop doing bad habits that they've acquired over the years. And something Fernando says is we can be involved, 100% fully involved during the session, but we don't have to be invested. So some of it is just, hearing words that I was, you know, I guess not having the the right self-talk happening, and requiring of myself these expectations that are really unattainable. So some of it is just giving these little nuggets, these little pieces to just help me put all those things together and have a better understanding of how things are working. But more importantly, um, working in a way that is not just beneficial for clients, but more for myself.
Mm, yeah, that's a really important piece of this work. And I can imagine, I don't know what your healthcare background is. Um, Maybe you want to say a word or two about that.
Yeah, so I started healthcare in 2000. So a lot of phlebotomy, did 10 years of that. I've been nursing since 2008. So long time. I've worked in jail nursing, rheumatic disease, hospice, regular clinic work. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of different things. Most of my phlebotomy was done in oncology. So I have just a lot of patient care. I've seen a lot of things, a lot of misdiagnoses, a lot of stories, um, lots of trauma.
Mm.
So,
So it was kind of curious to me because you said you started your practice in 2017, which isn't that
mhm.
long ago, but that you've already been experiencing burnout, which I suspect is very much connected to what you were doing before that.
I think so, and just life, and and honestly, like some of it just being COVID, the world kind of turned upside down, and and it still is. And seeing, I don't know, people have this overwhelming need to share with me very personal, very private things, and that's fine, and I will absolutely hold space for that.
Right.
But with that, I was having my own life issues. Um, my dad died, my stepdad died. It was a month apart. My mom was in the hospital, and then just other things in life and traumas and and it's those things that we think like, oh, I'm past that, and I've dealt with that. And then, as we get older, like,
Mhm.
some people call it a midlife crisis. I call it a rediscovery. um,
Mhm.
you learn that like maybe those aren't things that you truly dealt with and that you really are holding on to some things. So yeah, with caregiving and just life things happening and COVID and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was just going through it and I was getting burnt out and resentful in a way, like how can I go and make people feel better when I don't feel good, and I have other autoimmune issues and that was a problem. And the more stress I got, the worse those got. And, it was just like this perfect storm that was happening. And I recognize a lot of things in others that I see in myself, and realize there's more to just working with somebody on a very physical level, that healing is much more than muscle manipulation. So, and we have the ability to provide that space that they can truly relax and get back in touch with themselves and let that stuff go. Really let it go.
Mm. So, Kim, we first
Mhm.
met in last year, 2024, in the Cherokee Reservation at the World's Massage Festival, which is the first time you took one of the Somatic Mindfulness classes. And since then, You've taken a number of classes, actually hosted classes in Wisconsin, brought people together. And we're
Yes.
calling it flight hours because obviously the more time we get to spend time together, the more stories we get to share and the deeper we get into the work. How has your journey been since that moment you said that you had that dialogue with Fernando about, well, I don't feel that way, to where you are now? How did that unravel for you?
It's been really interesting. And Fernando, and he, when you think of like a teacher that you really want to follow, that to me that is Fernando. He just has wisdom beyond his years. And just comes from a place of such love and understanding, no judgment, which was super nice. Um, so I have a lot of continuing education, probably like 10 times the amount that's required because I enjoy learning, and I do understand that for like any one issue that someone has, there's a lot of different modalities that can help with that issue. So I've never had a desire to like, oh, I want to get certified in any particular area. I want to know a lot of things about a lot of things. And this is one of the first modalities, I guess, that I am really diving in because I want to keep learning more. So, yeah, so I've taken the class at the World Massage Festival. We did a 4-day class here in Sheboygan, did 4 days in Arkansas, and then some online classes. Aside from that, I've read a lot of different books on somatic work with more psychotherapy, the books that Fernando recommends as well. So yeah, I can't explain it because when you think you understand it, you don't. Um, and there's things that you start to see that are happening during session that you can't really explain, which is fine. Coming from healthcare, I'm very black and white, and I do like the science, but I understand that we can't always explain things, and it's okay. The way I like to explain it to my clients is like a placebo effect. If I give you something and that is a placebo and it works for you, does that mean that it's any more or less effective? Like we don't have to prove why it works or how it works or but just that it works. So, and that's somatic mindfulness, the attuned touch. Like I can explain it and then I can't.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it's just been this weird, wonderful experience.
I am really interested. The part that you spoke about that sounded like it really like made an impact for you is the mindfulness piece. And
Hmm.
that is, I don't have to be in a state of bliss to be able to bring health, healing, well-being to my client. All I really need to do
Yes.
is be present to whatever it is that I am experiencing. So, in doing that, because it sounds like you were really aware as you were adopting some of this material into your professional practice. In doing that, how did it change you as a practitioner, a massage practitioner, a massage therapist? What happened for you, or what's happening? Maybe you're in a process right now that
Yeah.
empowered something in you.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is I don't feel the burnout at the end of the day. I don't have this heavy heart filled with resentment because even though I still struggle with some things in my life, um, that I have all these other things that people are putting on my plate, they're not. Like I was just allowing that to happen, where now I just get to hold that space during that time and I can care about my clients but when we're done with session, we can actually be like I can be done. I don't have to hang on to those things. So that was, I mean, that was a big game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So just more mentally, more energy, emotional energy for myself.
That's huge. And
Hmm.
it's simplifying.
Yes.
Mm. I would like to just jump in and just say we're going to have another episode with you, Kim, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how you're transitioning more into a somatic mindfulness approach to your work, the attuned touch that you're bringing into it, and some of the clients that you're dealing with, and some of the things that you're seeing. So in a way, I'm kind of creating a little cliffhanger here for our audience that in your next episode, we want to dive a little bit deeper into your work, the work that you're doing now. And that's going to be in episode 2. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Madalena for our closing.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Seeds. We hope the stories are inspiring you. This series has been made possible by our hosts, Richard Mack and me, Madalena Ferrara, our production team, Mitch Lieber, Fernando Rojas, and me, and our guests, whose willingness to share their personal stories is courageous and vital to educating the public and creating change. You're all leaders with heart. Thanks to our sponsors, Mind Your Body and Somatic Mindfulness. Find them both on the web at myb.llc and somaticmindfulness.co. Find our guests on the Somatic Mindfulness website. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and join us again for more interesting, compelling, and heartfelt stories.